Though we, as moviegoers, tend to think we know exactly what an actor is capable of, it's always a pleasant surprise when someone delivers a banger performance totally out of nowhere that floors us all. I'm Ewan, this is What Culture, and here are 10 incredible movie performances nobody expected to be good. Number 10. Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Terminator. While Arnold Schwarzenegger is today broadly recognized as an action movie legend, he's still underrated when it comes to the acting department specifically, where even his greatest and most iconic roles are often undersold as one-dimensional pun machines. In actual fact, Arnie is one of our greatest ever physical performers, a driven athlete who leveraged his unique personality to deliver some of the greatest action cinema we've ever had the privilege of watching. In short, he's been defying expectations since he first made his way to the USA, and one of the most prominent examples of that is The Terminator, a film which few expected to be a success, let alone a well-reviewed one. Star Linda Hamilton even had huge reservations that she'd be working with Arnie, who by that point had only recently finished Conan the Barbarian and was still more well known for his bodybuilding escapades. But of course, we all know how it turned out. The Terminator catapulted Arnie to superstardom and remains one of the best sci-fi action films ever made, not to mention it being a role that he innovated further in its sequel, T2 Judgment Day. Love you, Arnie. Number 9. Vince Vaughn, Brawl in Cell Block 99. By the 2010s, it's not unfair to say that Vince Vaughn's career had basically hit a brick wall, with the funny man largely stuck starring in tired, played-out comedy vehicles for the most part, save for a polarizing turn in True Detective's second season and a decent supporting role in Hacksaw Ridge. But in 2017, he appeared in Brawl in Cell Block 99, an exploitation-style prison thriller that seemed like the furthest thing from Vaughn's wheelhouse, enough that some immediately screamed that he'd been miscast. After all, and yeah, little in Vaughn's career up to this point indicated that he was capable of portraying persuasive menace, what with the stink of his role in 1998's Psycho remake still firmly wafting over his head. It's a pungent stench. But Vaughn took the assignment seriously and delivered an absolutely knockout performance, fully convincing as a stone-built mountain of a man capable of dismantling the human body with fair ease. It's certainly not the type of performance that wins Oscars, but it did successfully strip away Vaughn's typecast persona and showed him in a wholly new, very much welcome light. Number 8. Madonna, A League of Their Own. Musicians who try their hand at acting are always gonna catch some initial flack, and though pop legend Madonna already had a number of prominent acting roles to her name by the 1990s, some still weren't convinced. And the most emphatic vote of no confidence came from actress Debra Winger, who was originally hired to star in 1992's sports comedy A League of Their Own. However, Winger dropped out just 4 weeks before shooting started, at which point she was replaced by an impeccable Gina Davis. As Winger revealed more recently, she quit the production due to Madonna's late-stage casting in the supporting role of the baseball team's outgoing center field, all the way May Morbido. And to be fair, Madonna hadn't had the best of track records before this movie, already netting 5 Razzie nominations and 2 wins before shooting had started. But Winger's concerns were ultimately misplaced, as the role of exotic dancer turned baseball player May fit the exuberant Madonna like, well, a catcher's mitt. It's a part that matched Madonna's public persona perfectly, playing to her extroverted strengths and allowing her to showcase her spunky screen presence in the process, in turn delivering one of the film's most memorable, even iconic performances. Number 7. Adam Sandler, Punch Drunk Love. When Adam Sandler was cast in Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia follow-up Punch Drunk Love, many were left scratching their heads. That an accomplished filmmaker, with his pick of Hollywood talent, would hire an actor who's demonstrated so little dramatic range throughout his comedy career. With Sandler being fresh off a batch of increasingly low-brow comedy projects like The Waterboy, Big Daddy, and Little Nicky, it just didn't seem that the Sandman had what it takes to operate in a high dramatic year. The moment that Sandler's casting was announced, the press had a field day, and even the movie's own producer, Joanne Seller, was baffled by Anderson's insistence at casting Sandler. But Anderson obviously knew what he was doing, ingeniously harnessing Sandler's signature manic energy to portray a socially anxious bachelor with an unnerving verisimilitude. And yeah, Sandler went on to receive a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor in a Comedy for his performance. His first attention from a major awards body has opened the door for him to pursue more dramatic fare in the years that followed, most famously Uncut Gems. Number 6. Mariah Carey, Precious. Though we have to rightly give Monique her flowers for delivering an unexpectedly masterful Oscar-winning performance in Precious, even more surprising than this is Mariah Carey's genuinely fantastic work as social worker Miss Weiss. On paper, the singer's role in the film seemed like pure stunt casting, a cynical attempt to get more eyes on the movie, even though Carey, who could only barely be called an actress at the time, was surely not the best performer most suited for the part. That may still be true, but Carey nevertheless earned her place in the movie with a physically and emotionally unvarnished performance, stripping away her characteristic glamour for a more grounded feat of acting than just about anyone believed her capable of. It would have been so easy for Carey to stick out like a sore thumb in such a gritty slice-of-life project, but she ultimately feels of a piece with everything else while holding her own with her talented co-stars. Number 5. Tyler Perry, Gone Girl. Even accepting that David Fincher could probably get a great performance out of a baked potato, and seriously, throw a Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross score on there and I would watch that wholeheartedly, there were many raised eyebrows when actor-director Tyler Perry was cast in a major supporting role in his thriller Gone Girl. Perry, best known for the slew of critically panned Madea films he's both starred in and directed over the years, simply seemed like a puzzling fit for a Fincher movie. Enough that some even theorized he slunk his way into the film by being a good friend of someone high up at Fox. But credit where credit's due. Perry was perfect in the role of Nick Dunn's high-flying lawyer Tanner Bolt, bringing a charisma and sly, dark humor to the part, enough that some analysts singled out him as a contender for the Best Supporting Actor Oscar. It didn't pan out that well, but Perry nevertheless acquitted himself extremely solidly in the role, delivering one of the best performances in a movie that's basically filled to the brim with peak acting. Number 4. Sydney Sweeney, Immaculate. When it was first announced that Sydney Sweeney would be portraying a timid young novice in a new horror film, it was a struggle to take the idea especially seriously. Sweeney, who has made a career primarily playing outgoing young women, simply seemed like an odd choice to play such a reserved, even cloistered character, with many questioning their own ability to engage with the film with Sweeney in the lead role. But credit to her, she absolutely detonated all the pre-release negativity when Immaculate hit screens, giving a performance of impressive subtlety where she's wholly believable as a young woman struggling to adjust to monastic life. But the real treat comes at the film's ending, when Sweeney is finally able to let loose and quite literally scream for the rafters. The final scene, a deeply disturbing climax shot in a single take, lets Sweeney swing for the fences with every fiber of her being, and she absolutely delivers. Number 3. Ryan Reynolds, Buried. Ryan Reynolds is of course best known for his many comedy roles, and so in 2010 it was a huge surprise to see him starring in a horror film, Buried, where he plays an American contractor who wakes up buried alive in Iraq. See what I did there with the title. For many, it was immediately impossible to take Reynolds seriously in such a, well, serious role, though he categorically proved all the naysayers wrong by delivering what remains the finest performance of his entire career. With director Rodrigo Cortés trapping us in the coffin with Reynolds for the entire runtime, there's absolutely nowhere for the actor to hide. As the only on-screen character, he has to carry the film basically solo, and that Reynolds did with a stellar turn, which perfectly conveyed the abject terror of what is many people's worst nightmare. And yeah, for all the success that Reynolds is enjoying as Deadpool right now, it sure would be great to see him back in a juicy genre role like this, one which asks a little bit more of him as a dramatic actor. Number 2. Lily Rose Depp, Nosferatu. Ellen Hutter, the female lead in Robert Eggers' recent Nosferatu remake, was originally set to be played by Eggers' regular collaborator, Anya Taylor-Joy, and it frankly seemed like a perfect match between player and part. But Taylor-Joy ended up dropping out of the film in 2022, after which she was replaced by Lily Rose Depp, an announcement which left many Eggers fans perplexed, amid a general feeling that Depp was a major downgrade from the actor who was so pivotal to the success of The Witch. And to be fair, Depp didn't have any sterling projects to her name at the time, while still struggling to shake the whiff of her starring role in HBO's calamitous 2023 drama series, The Idol. But Depp absolutely proved her many doubters wrong, delivering an emotionally charged, physically demanding performance which proved the full extent of her acting talents. While some will no doubt wonder how the film would have turned out with Taylor-Joy in the role, Depp's performance is so richly affecting, it's easy to forget it was ever intended for anyone else. And number 1. Charles Melton, May-December. Back when Charles Melton was cast in Todd Haynes' new drama May-December, the online consensus seemed to be, the Riverdale guy? Really? And even accepting that Haynes is as sure-minded as directors come, it seemed like Melton was destined to be the weak link in an acting trio also consisting of Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman, because how could he not be with those two standing next to him? But Melton didn't merely give a decent performance as Gracie Atherton Yu's much younger husband Joe, he genuinely managed to stand toe-to-toe with both Moore and Portman, enough that he was widely expected to be nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar. Though the golden nod didn't come from Melton in the end, he nevertheless won and was nominated for a slew of awards throughout last year's season, for a mesmerizing feat of acting which portrayed the wider effects of grooming on the human psyche with impressive subtlety.